Welcome to the bold analysis. Someone made some statement on a light note that the president picked Kabogo to the ICT docket not based on any qualification, but just because of agitation. So that in Kabogo, you'll get another version of Hassan Joho. I don't know how many agree with that, or yes, Hassan Uchokozi. Ladies and gentlemen, I have seen Kabogo and Musalia Mudavadi make a statement about social media.
As you have said, America did what it did yesterday, and that's America. We will do what we will do here because we are Kenya and Kenya is us. What I want to say to those who are using social media, it is important to be responsible. It is also important to enjoy the freedom that is enshrined in our Constitution. Freedom of expression, freedom of saying things that you need to say, but you know that freedom is limited to the extent it interferes with the freedom of others. If we can strike that balance and talk to each other, we should be able to strike a balance and we have no issues of flow of information on either TikTok, YouTube. And I was telling a young man just the other day, well, I think he's here. You know, you're young now. Nyinyi mkitaka kwenda kuandika hiyo andikeni, lakini it is a very serious problem. And I hope you guys and us can take it upon ourselves to have a discussion in our country about morals, about the do's and the do not do's, so that we have a good country. Au sio jameni? Mimi nitakuwa kipaumbele ya kujaribu kusaidia. And then tap into the energy and innovation of these young men and women. And I say Gen Z is my business.
There's also the challenge around communication. I have to be honest that we are facing some challenges around communication. In plain terms, we are getting a lot of beating from the media. There's the new media, which is the social media, but also from the mainstream media, we have been taking a lot of beating. Sometimes we don't speak to our good things, and there's a saying that don't blow your own trumpet. But I would like to look at it differently. If you do not blow your own trumpet, then who will blow it for you?
I want to urge you that what I'm going to analyze here, the article or the statement from Irungu Kang'ata is very critical, and someone should be able to share this podcast with anyone close to the president or Kabogo. Because the message from Irungu Kang'ata has come at the right time. It's one of the columnists I like reading. New political dynamics for 2027. You can Google that. That is the title of, that is the headline of that. That is the title of that article. That article is in Sunday Nation. And I'll want us to get through it. I'll just give you a snippet of what you said, then we'll narrow down to the 5 dynamics of 2027 general election, why Kabogo reign in the ICT docket and the Kenya Kwanza administration must tread very careful. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. We are heading to 100,000 subscribers. We are at 98,700. So kufika 100 tunahitaji 1,300. It is very, very possible. So kindly subscribe. I say that to cross 100, that's when we're going to do our first project in 2025. Today, the 19th day of December, or of January 2025. Irungu Kang'ata is saying that Martin Shikuku at 28 was the youngest member of the delegation that attended the Lancaster House Conference in the UK in 1960. He was then the youth representative for KADU Party, and he would then become an MP between 1963, the MP for Butere in Kakamega, until 1997, when he lost that seat. Now, he was a public orator and a man who was touted as the people's watchman. People who come from, people who follow the politics of the country back then, the days, would really agree with this. However, all the years, Shikuku's reputation in his constituency was not based on development, but rather agitation. That was back then. The point here is, during Shikuku's tenure, the interest, or rather his reputation, was not based on development, but agitation. How much would that agitate? And he said that at some point when he was asked by his constituents about a road, he will tell them, you don't need that road. If that road is tarmacked, vehicles will overspeed. Or rather, if that road is tarmac, the sole for your shoes, your shoe sole will be depleted within a short time, and the tarmac will be hot. But then, he lost that election later. He was more popular on agitation, but not development. Jackson Mulinge, who was the Chief of General Staff under Moi, vied for Kathiani constituency and won. As an MP, he did some development projects. But in re-election, people didn't vote for him. And while he will say there are broad roads and hospitals, the public will tell him, take your roads. Now, what Irungu Kang'ata is saying is that era has ended. That era has ended. And in this, as we head to 2027, there are different dynamics. The days of agitation without development, those days are behind us. And I want to speak this in the context of, I remember this is what happens even where I'm born in Luo Nyanza. Sometimes during elections in Luo Nyanza, those who vie just go, I want to go and fight for Baba. I want to go and be Baba's soldier. Then through that you can get your way to the parliament. So that was a digress. I want to remain within this article. And what Irungu Kang'ata is saying is that while the government is keen on hitting social media, the social media has disrupted the traditional news gatekeepers in the news editors. It has created a bubble and echo chamber amongst people holding political views. Social media is a big factor in the 2027 general election. How? I want us to get to this, and is a clear warning to those who think that the best way to go is to crack down on the social media. I saw that debate, want to establish offices here. Twitter used to have an office in Africa. I was told that office was closed. I don't know it was in which country. So Kenya is demanding that Twitter to establish an office here. YouTube already have an office. I think YouTube and Facebook have an office here in Kenya. And there is another in South Africa, if I'm not wrong. There is a way social media has revolutionized our politics to 2027, and it will not be. It will be disruptive and of course very dangerous for the state to meddle with the social media. Remember, the social media has even replaced the traditional media. The first pointer is the diaspora constituency consciousness. This is what Irungu Kang'ata says. There are Kenyans who have lived in advanced societies. They've gone to US, to UK, Singapore, and Dubai. They now desire a Kenya that mirrors those societies. Historically, countries' diaspora has always caused trouble to the existing social orders of their own countries. The Grand Ayatollah Ruhollah spent the years of 1964 to 1979 in exile, including France, away from the Iranian Shah. He later on inspired a political paradigm shift in 1979. He gives other examples, like the Communist Party leaders of China spent their youthful lives in France. By the way, people also say that Raila Odinga's agitation within the political ranks and his ideology is based on his experience even when he was out of the country. Now, this is what it says. Kenyans in diaspora are giving the country a real idea about what is a democratic country. And someone today, I was just talking to someone who was saying that in France, do you know they are almost protest almost weekly. Almost weekly. But you will rarely hear of instances of deaths and killings and such brutalities. They're neither there. So through social media, Kenyans in diaspora, they can tell Wanjiku back in Siaya or in the middle of Kitigoni that this is what an ideal democratic country is ruled. This is what works. And they have the desire for a better Kenya. Now that has revolutionized things and has created a paradigm shift. So Irungu Kang'ata is warning that. That is the first dynamic of 2027. So while you want to talk about social media character and all that, it is a more complex scene, because even the same diaspora community now are existing. They are participating in the local politics more than even some of the people living in the country. So while it had its own advantage of taking people out, exporting labor, so that you can get foreign direct, you can get money. The country can also earn some income from this, some revenue from this. But it has its own fair share of concern and how it has changed things in the country. Kenyans living in diaspora, do you agree? I don't even need to ask that question, because if you look at during Gen Z protest, let me tell you something I noticed. The Gen Z protests, most of the people who are hosting the space were not in the country. Most of them were out because you could not host it. Ungehost hapa ungekujiwa. Now even these coffin photos, some of the people designing those coffin photos generated, you arrest anyone around here, but those who are abroad are doing it. They're posting because you don't have the latitude to go and probably abduct them in those other countries. So that is the one angle that that is the first point dynamic that Irungu Kang'ata has created. The second one, social media has given voters a new perspective on development. So this is what he says. While the state will choose to see the negative part of it, that voters are sharing coffins, are putting leaders in coffins and sharing, you can look at that, and I think in this podcast it's known that we didn't support it. Personally, we don't support it. We say it is not right. But again, it is also not right not to subject them to the letters of the land, the letters of the Constitution. It is not right to put them in the coffin, but it is also not right to subject them to extrajudicial means. So, people now see development real time. And I think Irungu Kang'ata have spoken about it, that from Nairobi, when someone is talking about development, he's talking about a road you can see. I want to use a good example. When you look at Facebook posts, Facebook page for Irungu Kang'ata, and you can compare this. I want you to take time and look at Irungu Kang'ata's Facebook page. Look to governance, Irungu Kang'ata and Wamatangi. You will see Irungu Kang'ata putting up a big hospital, level 5 hospital in Murang'a. Then when you look at the Facebook page of another like my governor, you only see him attending funerals and some political events. Now, even locally here through social media, you can be able to compare and see my MP is working and that one is not working. That governor is working and this one is not working. Now, social media has created that. So those who want to slide back to the tribal arrangements, the ethnic mobilization schemes, must forewarned that social media has made people see real development, real time. What development is. The third aspect is the Kenyan youth bulge. Let me tell you, in 2027, there is a voter, someone who was born in 2009, a year after post-election violence, someone who don't even have an idea about what happened in 2007, is going to vote for the first time. And the internet, the youth bulge, if you look at the turnout on 25th June, when the young people came out in their numbers, if that bulge comes out, if that number comes out in 2027, it's going to create a big shocker. But let me bring in an argument here. Just as we talk about the youth bulge, it's not related. This is not what Irungu Kang'ata said, but this is something that I see it in these streets, in these corridors of social media. People are saying the Gen Z don't have a candidate, but the Gen Z wants to remove William Ruto. So should they pick any other candidate so long as they remove Ruto, or can they get the best person? Because people have argued that, well, perhaps those Gen Zs, if you pick Morara cannot defeat Ruto. There is that I have been saying that. Probably Morara cannot defeat Ruto. But I think that that disorientation is choreographed by those who want the status quo. So the point here is, even as Gen Z, the youth bulge, it must come out with a clear conscience of not going the tribal way. So the youth, but so even as and I want to give a good example. If you ban TikTok today in Kenya, because you feel Kenyans are, the young people are in TikTok and the ones that are revolting, then you ban TikTok. Do you want to tell me that those young people who are in TikTok, in this country you have over 1 million Kenyans who are in TikTok, do you want to tell me those people will like you? Will they go to the ballot and smile and say, hey, Ruto, yes, Ruto is president? Will they do that? No, they will not. So we must be very careful, because the young people, quite a number of people that are in that TikTok, I saw us saying, because US has done it, so we need to do it. Number 3, or rather this is number 4. The issue-based politics attempted in 2022, and take the word attempted. It was attempted in 2022 is coming back to haunt. And why the writer used, I'm not the one who put my point attempted. If you read that article, you will, let me just get the statement that is, apart from the youth bulge, okay, describes begin, fund begin. I just want to say what is, yes. The third new dynamic will be the maturation of the issue-based campaign style first attempted in 2022. Attempted. It was not done. It was not issue-based. It was just tried. And in that trial, we made a big blunder. We tried issue-based, that I will make you be like me, that I will put you down there to up. Then people believed it. Then it was not done. So, if there is a debt that Kenya Kwanza owes its support base, is that bottom up. Tumebaki hapa chini. Nilisema tutatoka hapa chini, tutatoka hapa juu. Tumebaki hapa chini. So even as we head to 2027, there are two things that are on that ballot. Number one is the human rights question. Number two is the economic question. The human rights question is coming very strong because of the Gen Z protest. People won't forget about it. I don't know who says, oh, people will forget. No, people won't forget about the Gen Z protest. They won't. And someone should not lie that, oh, it's Gen Z. The Gen Zs will also influence their parents. They have the power. They will most likely influence their parents. So those two factors are on table. 2027, the economic question is there. The president will have to answer serious questions on what he has done. Number two, even if he successfully convinces Kenyans on the economic question by the numbers, I don't know, X amount of jobs created, I don't know, X amount of houses done, ICT hubs, I don't know what, X kilometers of road done. But at the end of it, someone will also question, but how many people have been killed under your regime? Ni kesho bana.